All right. Got a good friend of mine, Filippo Silva, back on the channel. It's almost been a year. I want to say the last time you came on was when we had Alexi on back in late last March, I think, which is interesting. It's hard to believe it's already been a year, but I'm glad to have you back on in such a big year, 2026. How are we doing, my friend?
I mean, time's flying by, right? It feels like the pandemic was last year. It's been
It does.
almost 6 years.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, 100%. And it's so funny. We were talking about this before we started recording. This year is it. This is like the biggest year in the history of soccer for the United States, and it just kind of feels like it's not right now, right? It's just kind of weird.
It feels like we're getting there, right? It,
It,
it doesn't feel like we're there yet. 2026 has arrived, and we've talked about this year ever since it was announced that we would host the World Cup, which was in 2018, I think,
yeah.
2019 or 2017. I can't remember. Um, so we've been waiting for this year for a while. It doesn't feel like the World Cup has arrived yet. I feel like we're going to start getting that feeling more and more when March arrives and we play Portugal, we play Belgium, and then we have a more right now. So people are thinking about the Super Bowl. We're in NBA season, college basketball. I think when it goes to March, April, it's going to start becoming World Cup talk, and then May beyond. Then we're really going to feel like it arrived, especially when we hit the summer.
I can't wait, man. I'm hoping. I think, like you're saying, it's going to build up and it will eventually, the excitement will set in. But today, we're going to talk a little bit about how the USMNT in 2026 could affect MLS. If the USMNT succeeds, Filippo, at the 2026 World Cup, will it help MLS grow? And I want to say this too, real quick. The 1994 World Cup, which is the last time the United States hosted, helped launch MLS. Is at like I think the next season is when they officially started playing, but it was announced and everybody was kind of building up and talking about it. And they were talking about some of the players that were at the World Cup that were going to be playing in MLS. Could a strong run in 2026 create a similar boom as far as more fans, youth participation, etc. for MLS? Hey, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Guys, we are getting closer and closer to 12,000 subscribers. And with your help, I know we will reach that goal. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Now, back to the video.
So that's an interesting question. I'm going to go back to the 90s, and I'm actually going to go a little bit against what you just said, actually. But bear with me, okay? It'll make sense. I don't know if the 94 World Cup gave MLS a boom. We don't know that, right? The World Cup led to the creation of MLS because it was a requirement from FIFA. And then we had the 94 World Cup. And then the first season of MLS was in 1996. So about a year and a half after, because the World Cup was in the summer of 94. We don't know yet what it's like to have a World Cup in the US with MLS. We don't know, like, for example, if you had data on MLS before the 94 World Cup, which MLS didn't exist, and then after, we'd be able to kind of project, like, hey, this was the growth, but we don't know. What I will say is mostly any growth in popularity of soccer should have some impact on MLS, right? Maybe a lot of soccer fans come up from the World Cup and they don't watch MLS because they want to watch the Premier League or whatever, right? Or the Champions League. But in theory, anything that leads to soccer growing in the United States should have some impact on Major League Soccer. Now, to your question, if the U.S. men's national team does well, will this give MLS the boom that it needs? We don't know because we never had this before. But in theory, it should give MLS some push, right? Because what will happen is this. If the U.S. does very well, it'll either bring new soccer fans to the sport, right, to follow the U.S. national team or just to follow soccer in general. And it'll also lead to maybe fans that weren't following as much to coming back. Like it'll just have a positive effect on the sport of soccer. And that should help MLS. Now, is it going to be a boom? Is it going to be like a little bump and just like, hey, a little help? I don't know. And if you ask me, I would say I don't think so. Because I'm going to quote your friend Alexi Lalas here. We don't have an issue, and I'm paraphrasing, right? But he says something along these lines. that we have enough soccer fans in America. We don't have enough MLS fans. He said it's something like that when we were with him last year in March. Remember that?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And he's right. There's a lot of soccer fans in this country. A good portion of them reject MLS. A good portion just doesn't care. They watch other leagues, so they don't really give a crap about MLS. I believe MLS is the third most watched league, domestic league in the US. It's not good. You should be the number one of your own country. They're behind Liga MX. They're behind the Premier League. So my counterpoint to it is MLS brought Messi. And if that didn't give them the boost that we were all expecting domestically, internationally, Messi definitely did it. There's a lot of people watching internationally that weren't watching before. Domestically, I haven't really seen that boom besides Messi filling up games. Messi, but not the other games. I didn't see a positive impact in that. So will the World Cup give MLS a boom? I don't think it'll give MLS a boom, but I do think if the US men's national team does well, it'll have some positive effect on Major League Soccer. Some. I just don't know to what scale. I don't see how the World Cup hurts MLS. That's my point. It can't hurt MLS.
No, it definitely can't hurt. I mean, maybe if the USMNT does very poorly, but even then, I don't know if it would hurt it
But it
because
wouldn't hurt MLS, right?
yeah, because there's other teams playing here that are going to get people interested to watch and see what's going on at the World Cup. But you know, when I think back to 2014, right? That was the last. I mean, I love every World Cup, but 2014 is probably my favorite World Cup personally, and it was in Brazil, right? And I remember that there was just that was the last normal World Cup we had where it was similar time zones where games were at night and it wasn't in the winter time, right? That was literally the last normal
Because we
World Cup
didn't
we had.
qualify also Russia and then
And we
Qatar was the other one.
exactly. But you know, I thought that did help MLS a little bit in 2014. 2018 was really bad, I think, because we failed to qualify. A lot of people blame MLS for that because of the players coming over here. In 2022, I don't really think it did anything for MLS, the World Cup. But 26 is different because it does have Messi, like you said, who's going to play. It is in your backyard, which is going to get people interested in checking out games and watching matches. Um, I do think that it's going to help to a certain degree, but like kind of what you're saying, I don't really know yet either what it's going to do. But 1994, first of all, I wasn't born in 1994, so I have no idea. And when we talked to Alexi about that, he's like, "Yeah, this is before you guys even knew what was going on, or you knew any colors, or you could count, or hell, maybe you weren't even alive." I mean, it did help catapult the league, obviously, but like you said, we don't really know what it did as far as popularity because MLS still isn't. It's the third most popular league in the United States. So obviously, it didn't do too crazy of a job, or it would have been the most popular league in the U.S. by now. But this just feels different, I feel like. And as far as the USMNT success in 2026, I want to ask you, you said you don't know if it would help if they succeed, but if there were to be let's just say hypothetically, the men's national team make it to like the quarterfinals, right? I don't think they're going to make it to semifinals. Let's say make it to the quarterfinals. And that's pretty good because what is there like an extra knockout game now? Because the
Yeah,
48
those would be
teams,
2 wins, 2 knockout wins.
2 knockout wins. Okay. So let's say they make it to the quarterfinals and then MLS were to sign someone from the USMNT. They were able to sign one of those players. Let's say Pulisic or let's say Weston McKennie, which I think Weston McKennie actually, I think he just announced he's going to return to Juve next year. So that probably isn't going to happen. But you get what I'm saying. Someone were to come over. Would that change because the guy who was the star of our national team is coming to Major League Soccer?
I doubt it. Here's the problem. It's like, do you think that the World Cup is going to draw so many new soccer fans by us making it to the quarterfinals that that's going to make a huge difference? Because you got to remember, like the Americans will be excited if we win knockout games. Winning knockout games is very special in the World Cup,
Yeah.
but I mean, look, the US usually wins gold medals in the Olympics. We usually win, and quarterfinals still is losing and losing very early, right? For teams that are or countries that are accustomed to winning. So it would be huge if you understand the US men's national team. It is huge to make it this far. I just don't know if it's going to draw that many new fans. Now, here's the other thing about MLS. I think it goes far deeper than just one player, because we talked about this of what Alexi said, which he's right. There's enough soccer fans in the country. For example, Mexican Americans, they don't take MLS seriously. A lot of them. Some do, and that's even a good portion of MLS's audience, but clearly many of them don't. And Liga MX is still their league. They have to win them over, and that's a slow process. It can take many years. It's not going to be Pulisic coming here the same way it's not going to be Carlos Vela coming here or Chucky Lozano. It's not going to be one player, right? You brought Messi. Like, to think Pulisic could have a bigger impact on Major League Soccer than Messi is insane. It's not going to happen. So whatever you saw with Messi, Pulisic's not going to do more than that unless he wins a World Cup with the U.S. If he wins the World Cup with the U.S., then yeah, bring Pulisic, because then he's a freaking like legend here. Legend not for the U.S. men's national team, like a sports legend. We're putting him up there with Michael Jordan if he wins the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Putting him up with Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Serena Williams, if he wins the World Cup. Now, if we lose in the quarterfinals and you bring Christian Pulisic, do you think that he'll have a larger impact than Messi?
I don't think he would have a larger impact globally, but this is an important point to make, is that you would agree there's a lot of USMNT fans who despise MLS. They don't want to watch it. They think it's garbage. But do you think that if we signed Christian Pulisic, that they would at least watch his games? Because they would want to keep in check and see how he's doing.
They would, but again, MLS needs to change their reputation before that. I think a lot of them are just gonna be pissed that Pulisic's coming back.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first reaction. And I think that's what's going to happen ultimately. Yes, sure. You'll draw a few viewers, like in people that already follow. I mainly watch MLS these days, following U.S. men's national team prospects that are in the league. And if Pulisic's playing the league, yeah, I will watch whatever team Pulisic's playing for a certain amount of time until I see a drop off on his level, if that does happen. But I think what you're going to get is mostly a good portion of enraged fans, and they'll probably move on to the next player. So maybe Kevin Sullivan's in Europe by then, and they're going to move on to him. Or Mathis Albert starts playing for Dortmund. I think they'll start moving on to those guys and just say, well, Pulisic was the best we've ever had, and it's coming to an end there. But I think they'll still follow because, I mean, we've had this before, Will. We've had Landon in the league. He was our best player. And up until Pulisic, and then you can argue Dempsey or not, but Landon, up until Pulisic, he's probably the best player the U.S. men's national team ever had with Clint Dempsey. And he was here all the time, playing LA. Very big city, very big franchise. We've had Clint Dempsey come back. At the time when Clint Dempsey come back, we could consider him our Pulisic, right? In terms of level, right? What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
like, in terms of how popular he is, I would even argue Clint Dempsey might have even been more popular than Christian Pulisic. I see some fans that actually hate Christian Pulisic, some US fans. I don't know anyone that hates Clint Dempsey.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think Pulisic coming here is going to have the impact some people think it will. Again, it's not going to have a negative impact, just to make
Yeah.
that clear. I just don't think it's going to be what makes a big difference. MLS needs to be able to change their reputation, which they have to a certain extent. Some of it takes time. Some of it requires making the right calls, the right moves, less roster restrictions, loosen up the rules, maybe play the Open Cup. Don't declare war on USL. These things are not going to help your reputation. Even if it's a fake pro rel, expand your franchises to a point where you have promotion relegation within MLS, so the investors are not all pissy about it, because we got to protect the billionaires there. So little things like that to change their reputation, I think, are much more important than signing a player here and there. I mean, God, this league signed Lionel Messi. That's like the biggest name you can bring, the biggest name in the sport that you can bring, and I mean, yeah, it grew your social media numbers. It grew your global audience that I don't know if many of them are going to stay after Messi. That we need to say that. But I mean, everything else is not that much different. Can we agree on that? Like the other clubs, the other teams, it's mostly the same. It's just that when Messi plays there, it sells out, tickets get expensive. You see Inter Miami jerseys everywhere you go, even in South America, you travel, you'll see it. But the other teams, I don't know, man. It's just like Didn't really do much.
Well, and that kind of brings me to my next question about, and I do agree with you about Messi, but I do think when it's kind of like lightning in a bottle. It's almost like one good player, great player, the biggest player is not going to change everything because you're kind of saying that essentially you're saying to everyone, hey, these are the only games that are worth watching if you're just a casual fan. Don't watch anyone else. Just watch when he's playing. But if the USMNT look good, and listen, Pulisic is part of the piece. I've been told this several times. They have a grand plan this summer of what they want to do MLS to try to capitalize on interest and try to get people, casual fans who, because we've talked about this, we said this earlier. There's a lot of soccer fans here. There's just not a lot of MLS fans here in the United States. But Filippo, if MLS or the USMNT were to succeed, on top of there being a lot of these teams who come over here, because think about this, a lot of these teams and players have never played in a tournament in the United States. This is going to be completely different to them. It's been 32 years since they played a World Cup here in the United States. Maybe them playing here, experiencing the United States, the atmosphere, like they maybe want to come here after 2026. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to. Obviously, that's not realistic. I'm just saying maybe they can lure a big name
Is the
along with
atmosphere
a
going to
couple
be that
others.
good?
Well, maybe if you can afford to go, I don't know. It depends on what kind of crowd. I don't know. You might have to take out a lien on your house or your car just to get
Get another
parking.
student loan and you'll be good.
Yeah, maybe.
$250 for parking in LA? $250 for parking.
You might have to sell a kidney, or something just to go watch a game. I don't remember. I think you tweeted this. There was some game where the team wasn't even a big country. Like it was like kind of a very
Iran
underwhelming
and
game.
New Zealand.
Yeah, Iran and New Zealand. What were the ticket prices for that?
It wasn't the tickets. It was parking. It was $250.
Just for that. So the tickets are probably even crazier. They're probably like $1,500, $2,000 probably. I don't
I
know
can't
that.
even imagine the price of beer in that stadium.
Oh, I know. Jesus, you'd have to have a credit check just to buy the beer. They'd have to run your credit score to make sure you qualify to buy it. But if they were able to succeed, and I think like I guess my perspective on it is if the USMNT do look good, it's going to make MLS essentially it's going to be a win for them because the domestic league or the national team for this domestic league succeeded, and it's just inherently going to make us look better, even if not a single player on the USMNT starting is an MLS player. I think it's going to be a positive for them. And who knows, maybe there is going to be an MLS starter. I don't know. I mean, Poch loves his MLS guys.
Well, Tim Ream will probably start for sure.
Tim Ream will definitely start.
The goalkeeper too.
Yeah,
It'll be Matt Freese or Matt
Matt
Turner.
Freese. Yeah. But maybe there might be a third. Maybe there'll be another field player who is not, that's maybe a midfielder. I don't know. I don't want to
Requires
predict.
some injuries. Requires some injuries probably.
Requires some injuries, but I feel like if they do have the success, it could be appealing, and the experience of playing here could be appealing for certain players to come here. And you brought up a good point. It's not just about names. There's a lot deeper issues for MLS to succeed, but this could ride a wave of having more interest in the league, and maybe have people pay attention to it more.
I think one thing, and I don't want to sound negative with this, but I think the ship has sailed in terms of fully capitalizing on this World Cup. MLS, if they wanted to really maximize the results of the World Cup, they probably should have loosened up salary cap restrictions, increase the salary cap, roster restrictions like 3 or 4 years ago. Invested heavily in the rosters, made better teams, done better in the Club World Cup. I know some people are saying they did great. Well, not really. Like Seattle lost every game, and people are just like, "Oh, but they played well." It's like, yeah, no one cares. You lost every game, right? Yeah, you guys look competent. I agree. I didn't think Seattle embarrassed themselves at all, but you lost every game. LAFC, oh, we tied Flamengo when they were already qualified, and then you lost the other two games, even to a team from Tunisia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
embarrassing. Inter Miami did better. They did. They did in fact do better. They had a draw with Palmeiras. The Palmeiras actually had a polar late draw. They defeated Porto. But again, why didn't you like expand the salary cap, roster restrictions, and maybe have the roster they have this year playing in the Club World Cup, where maybe you could pull a major upset in the knockout rounds. Maybe you could get two MLS teams in the knockout rounds, actually change the reputation of the league slowly, right? I I'm just trying to understand what I'm trying to ask. Is like, what exactly? USMNT makes it to the quarterfinals and we lose to Spain. Okay, expected. Good World Cup right there. Very good World Cup. What MLS positive outcome for MLS? Yeah, sure, but like, what is it going to actually increase? Like, if MLS gets like a 5% increase in viewership, would that be good?
I think so. I mean, it's marginal, but yeah, it'd be good.
I don't see it being more than that. That's my point. It's like, I mean, everyone knows MLS is here. Why would their opinion change because of a tournament where you said it yourself, barely any MLS players are going to be starting? Um, Definitely no MLS players will be a protagonist for the US national team. And we used to have protagonists from MLS. We
Yeah.
used to. And now we won't. I just don't see how it has like a massive impact on the league. Like I said, I think regardless of what happens, I think it'll be a positive impact. I just
Yeah.
don't think it'll be big regardless of what happens, unless we win the World Cup. If we win the World Cup, then you bring Pulisic, then oh, heck yeah, this league might actually take off and start pulling incredible numbers. But I just don't see this thing of like people saying, "Oh, this year MLS is going to blow up. It's over. It's going to become the number one league in America, ahead of Liga MX, ahead of the Premier League." I don't, because I can counter argue too with you. What if Mexico does well? Is Liga MX going to grow in the United States?
Maybe.
What if England does well? Is the Premier League going to grow? Even though the best players in the Premier League are not English, but that's a different
Yeah.
discussion. But the best players in MLS are also not American. That's the other thing too. So
That's true. No, that is true. But I guess the reason why, and I want to talk to you about this because I guess my line of thinking on it is if the USMNT do well enough, which we think they could, the talent's there to do well. Now, I don't think any of us think they're going to win a World Cup. That'd be crazy. I mean, me and you'd be doing backflips if that happened, right? But I think the reason why I am kind of a little bit more um, optimistic about it is that I feel like there's going to be this light on soccer that has never been on in the United States. We've never seen anything like this. Like it's going to have all these people, these casual people. And I'm not even talking about just soccer people, Felipe. I'm talking about just casual, maybe kids, or they're going to have their parents going to have them watch the game, or they're just going to find the game themselves and check it out. And if the USMNT does well, then that's kind of going to gauge their interest of like, well, this is cool. Like, what's our league? Where can I watch a team close to me? Whereas if they get grouped, which is not going to happen, but if they get grouped, then all the buzz, all the energy's dead out of the gate. Where they could keep this going, and MLS could potentially lean into it. Now, 5% is what you said. Would that be good? I mean, it would be better than nothing, obviously, but I mean, this is a whole other subject about accessibility of MLS, like Apple TV or whatever. I do think that they could see a bigger bump than 5%. Now, do I think it could be 100%? No, hell no. I don't think it'd be 100%. I mean, they'd be having to pull some crazy signs. They'd be having to sign like Pulisic, Rodrigo, and Mbappe. Like they'd be having to pull some crazy names to be seeing a jump like that. But I do think there's just a lot of people who are casual fans, maybe even not soccer fans yet, who will find their love for soccer at the World Cup. That's how I found my love for soccer. I know that you obviously grew up watching soccer with your dad, so you've always loved watching football. But for me, I fell in love with it playing FIFA and watching the World Cup. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of other people that are going to do the same thing because it's here and they could find interest. Maybe by checking MLS out, maybe they never watch it again, but they're going to have an opportunity to capture new fans they had never had before.
I still think there's no magic bullet. That's my point. I think MLS growing to a point that many want it to grow or many expect it to grow. It takes more than a magic bullet like a World Cup or this like incredible player like Messi coming to the league. I think it comes down to growing your community outreach that some MLS franchises do a terrible job, like Orlando City, for example, that I'm wearing here, the jacket. They do a terrible job engaging with their city. And I think that is something that they should probably focus on more. Now, of course, they can get a bump from the World Cup. I just, like you said, it's just not going to be something meaningful. And organic growth is often very slow. It takes a while to build culture. And that's one thing that I'm not super critical of MLS because I fully understand they can't just magically build this soccer culture surrounding the league. It takes years, it takes time. Things need to happen, stories have to happen, matchups have to happen, drama needs to happen, things in the league need to happen, right? Um, I just don't think there's a magic bullet. I think the World Cup will have a positive impact in MLS, but unless something wild happens, like I already said, winning the World Cup, the US, because well, I could argue that Mexico doing well in the World Cup could also help the United States because maybe there's that kid that's Mexican American that loves soccer and then Mexico does well and he wants to attend now soccer games, even though probably he should have already because that's in their culture. The dad will probably want to. But then the dad maybe, hey, now I want to take my kiddo to a soccer game. What's nearby? Oh, there's an MLS team or a USL team. Maybe USL will see a bump too. I think both might see a bump, but I don't think it'll be huge. And it could be Mexico doing well can help MLS. It can help USL. It can be the US that helps USL and MLS. God, it could be even Canada doing well. There's Canadian teams in MLS for some freaking reason. I don't know why we still have those. So again, I just don't think it'll be big. There's nothing that can convince me otherwise unless we win the World Cup, which we both agreed that. I mean, I don't think that that'll happen.
Yeah, I think that so your bare minimum is World Cup or nothing, not going to help. I would say quarterfinals would. And you know, one more thing I'll say is I remember in 2014 because the USMT had a very heavy MLS roster in 2020 in 2014. I think there was at least five, maybe even six starters for the USMT in 2014 who were playing in MLS. And I remember they talking to certain big name players, and they were saying, "Yeah, MLS has really come a long way." And obviously, the USMNT did very well in that World Cup, considering who the hell they were playing. I mean, the group of death, Germany, Portugal, and Ghana, that was a very tough group. Germany won the World Cup, prime
With prime
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
Yeah. And then Ghana obviously was no slouch, one of the better teams in Africa. And they did this with five MLS players starting. And this is when the league was, we would probably agree, worse than it is now in 2014 than 2026. They were just giving them a lot of confidence, saying the league has came a long way. I think that if the USMNT do well in 2026, it will give some credibility to Major League Soccer because I think that there are some players on the team, obviously, that are MLS based, a couple starters, not as many as you than 2014, but some guys that they play well. It is going to help a little bit and maybe could help a lot depending on how well they do and give the league more credibility. And based on how they host this event in Canada, Mexico, and the United States, maybe could be appealing to some of these stars who've never really played in the United States or been here, and maybe have them want to come here one day. Some of these bigger names. So I think it is going to be a positive regardless. I mean, the only way it's a negative is if we get grouped, and even then, I don't know if it would be a huge,
I
huge
still
L
don't
from
think it'll
us.
be a negative if we get
Yeah,
grouped.
I don't think it would be either. I just think there's only room to go up. Um, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to be, like I said earlier to you, I was told that the plan is to sign several big stars from this World Cup in MLS to bring them over. I don't know who they're all going to be. I don't know where they're going to be from. But, you know, one guy doesn't change a league. But if you sign seven or eight guys, that could be a difference maker. And I'm talking about just popularity. I'm not saying the league is going to be better. I'm just saying the league could be more popular.
I think they need to stop that gimmick. They need to improve community outreach, improve development, hold on to a few players, um, get rid of not get rid, but just expend that salary cap. It's still too low for a league that
Yeah.
has the money MLS has. MLS is a lot richer than people know and think compared to other leagues in the world. They can sign these players, but MLS has done this for many, 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 many years. And it's helped them stay afloat. But like I said, certain things, there's not too much they can do. They can do better with the community outreach, but even if they do that, it takes time. So I'm gonna keep repeating myself. Well, I've been saying the same thing. I don't think there's a magic bullet. I don't think the World Cup is a magic bullet. I think the World Cup will help increase the popularity of soccer in the United States, and that will help MLS in one way, shape, or form. It'll also help USL. It'll help any league. It will help even college programs. Anything related to soccer. MLS obviously also moves forward and upward with it.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, you know, we're less than 4 months away from the World Cup starting. Very excited to see what happens. Filippo, I appreciate your time, my friend. Guys, I think we're going to collab on this video. Make sure you guys go give him a follow down below or subscribe to him if you haven't already. He's the biggest, the best USMNT account and coverage that there is, and it's going to ramp up. He's got a lot of good stuff planned in the near future. Filippo, it's always been a pleasure, my friend, to have you on this channel. Any final words before I let you go?
No, no, and I hope people didn't portray this as negative. I'm not being negative at all. I just hope they understand what I meant by everything. I still think there's going to be growth. I'm just trying to be realistic about it.
Yeah.
And you kind of alluded to it because there are people that'll go, MLS will take off. It'll double the number of fans. That's not going to happen. Like, that's not going to happen. It's just not being negative, pessimistic about it. I think the most realistic look is, regardless of what happens this summer, it will have a positive impact on soccer in this country. And that has a positive impact on any domestic league. And MLS is the number one. So obviously it should help MLS in one way, shape, or form. But regardless, exciting times for soccer in America. That's all I'll say. Exciting times.
I'm just excited to see what the hell happens, man. After it's been, I mean, it feels like we've been waiting for this for so long. I'm just ready to see what happens. I mean, it'll be here before you know it. Like, 4 months away. We'll see what happens. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let us know what you guys think down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.